Yo, what's up guys? As a long-time World of Warcraft player, I only got into Runescape for the first time a couple of months ago, and I loved it. I made a few videos going over my first few weeks in the game, first time getting to bosses, that kind of thing, and generally I really like OSRS. It's a game I'm going to be playing on and off for years to come. I like the grind, I like the long-term progression, and I like the long-term goals you can set yourself. However, as the time it takes to do those things, one thing I always wanted to try was a league. You get that boost of progression, you get to see all of the game, and you get to experience everything at a faster rate. It's something I always felt like I missed out on. So when I heard about Gridmaster, this new, shortened Super League, I had to try it. So here's my first impression. I played this for about 12 hours yesterday, pretty much non-stop. I went in this completely blind and then just jumped on the wiki whenever I got stuck with something. So I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to share, day one of Gridmaster and how it feels as someone who's never done a league before. So if you haven't had a chance to play this yet, the way Gridmaster works is there is a grid full of tiles with challenges, and for every challenge you complete, you get a reward tied to that challenge. When you complete all of the challenges in a row, you also get an additional reward for filling a line, similar to bingo. So that's how the game works. And when I looked at the challenges on this grid, I was pretty overwhelmed. There's some basic ones in green, some in yellow, and then some on the outskirts are in red. And I hadn't got that far in real OSRS. So the basic stuff like mine some gold or, chop a maple tree, easy, can do that. But then the outside stuff was like Inferno, awakened bosses, stuff I'd not even heard of. So it was pretty intimidating. But I started, okay, so task one, I wanted to get the three gatherer relics. So there's Power Miner, Lumberjack, and Animal Wrangler. And the way that works is when you have them, when you mine or when you hit trees, it will auto process them. So the ore gets processed into bars and gets put straight into your bank. Lumberjacking, as soon as you hit the tree, the thing can get instantly turned into arrow shafts. Stuff like that with fishing, they auto get cooked. Really good buffs to get early on. So that's what I did. You get the first one just for opening the grid for the first time, which was great. So I got Power Miner and I went and started mining, and you have to work your way up to 40 mining and mine some gold, which was incredibly easy because you level so fast. There's like 600, 400% crazy super boosted XP. So that took literally a few minutes. And then I took the Lumberjack Relic, which boosts your lumberjacking, and I started working on trees up to, oak trees, and then eventually a maple tree to get the final relic. And then I noticed that everyone around me in Lumbridge and in the starter areas were wearing these fancy, flashy shoes. So I looked up what they were, and that was for completing Gnome Ball. Play one game of Gnome Ball and you got some shoes, and from wearing the shoes, they gave you agility whenever you walked. So you leveled up agility just from walking around. So that felt like, a priority to go and get. I looked at what Gnome Ball was and went over there. And luckily, because on this, in Gridmaster, you're given a Draman staff at level, at the very start of the game, so you can use the fairy rings right from the get-go. So getting over there was really quick, so I don't have to do the big long walk over the Frost Mountain thingy. No idea how to play this. I just clicked on the gnomes, just kept clicking on the gnomes until I got the ball, threw it at the goal and failed, but it still ticked off the challenge, which was all I was there for. So yeah, having the ability to level the agility from the start felt good. But you actually don't need it as much as you do in OSRS because you had unlimited run speed, which was fantastic. So you never had to walk. But it does help with getting over the obstacles and stuff and getting into certain shortcuts. And then the final easy task in this little starter diamond was the get an item from the Stronghold of Security. I'd never been here, so I went to it, looked it up, went to it, and basically I just followed people. I just followed people around until we got to a ladder, went down, followed where the crowd was going, kept going down the ladder until I got to the bottom where there's a chest, and it had some boots in. I don't know. And that was enough to complete the challenge. I don't know what this place is for, but yeah, job done. That gives you an item that you could hold in your offhand that lets you teleport to any fairy ring, tree spirit, or tool leprechaun. And the tool leprechaun seemed really OP because that's basically any town. There's like these crops outside most towns, so you could basically teleport to any town with this. So that felt like a really good base setup. Okay, and then I needed some sort of plan. So I looked at all of the different offerings and how hard they seemed based on what I've done so far. And there's one that stood out. It was the golden reward, this golden relic. And what it does is it lets you cast alchemy spells with no runes, no cost, and no level requirements, which basically means with level 1 magic, you can cast high alchemy on any item. So that was the goal. To get it, you had to go and obtain valuables from a house in Varlamore. I looked it up, and to do this, you needed 50 in the thieving skill. So I started around Lumbridge on the, level 2 people walking around there, just taking the coin purses from them, and then moving on to the the stalls around Draenor eventually. And then as I was in a town, I was doing the fruit stalls to level up, because you can like just do all the different things, and you can just take things and drop them on the ground. I picked a fruit stall, took a piece of fruit, and it unlocked Dodgy Deals, which was another relic that says when you pick an NPC, when you pickpocket an NPC, it will also do all NPCs of the same type in an 11-11 square, granting you extra loot and 100% success rate. So that was huge. Then I moved on from stalls to just anyone I could find. Warriors, guards, everyone in any town wasn't safe. I basically just went everywhere and just went to the highest level person until I got to level 50. So with a quick fairy ring travel up to Varlamore, it was time to do this one. And I looked this up, and all you have to do is go to like the central square, find the wealthy people there, and just keep doing the same thing you're doing until you get a key. Once you get a key, you had to go and find the specific houses, wait for the person to leave, sneak in, and get the valuables that way, which is a really cool thing. I honestly think, I thought this when I was playing OSRS, like the base game. I think Varlamore is one of my favorite places in the game. I really, really like it. I think it's well done. I think it's well designed. I think lots of the mini games and stuff there are just really, really fun. So yeah, this is a cool place to be. So I got this done pretty quickly because everything just seems really quick on this. And then I looked to see if there's anything else. And there was one other thing here, and it was to watch the gem crab leave. So I jumped over to the gem crab, which was like right nearby, and timed it so perfectly that the second I spawned in, he was leaving. So that was another relic done, which I felt like I was on really good steam here, but it didn't last long. And the relic reward from the gem crab was the Gatherer relic. And what this does is it makes you select 3 gathering abilities, skills, and they link them together. So whenever you gain XP in one, you gain 50% extra in the other 2. So the 2 that were going to go on there, no brainer, was Hunting and Slayer, because I've never leveled Hunting, and Slayer is, you know, extremely slow. To get those 2 on there and then find something easy to level, to power level those 2 with, basically. I went with fishing because fishing is easy and fairly simple, and I instantly regretted it because I wished I'd done it tied to agility, because agility levels when you're just walking around. So I could have been walking around leveling all 3 skills at once, but it is what it is. And then had a look, see if there's any other things like that where it links skills together. And there was another one called Combatant, where you had to go and defeat an ogress. And if you did that, you could link 3 combat skills. So I wanted to get these done early because, you know, if you're going to level a skill, you may as well be leveling 3 at a time. So I went to this place where the ogresses were, and I was severely unprepared. I had the basic start again. I think I was just wearing nothing. I think I was just completely in like the starter stuff that you know, no armor equipped. So I went in there. I didn't even have a wand, so I was like manually casting. And in a moment of panic, I went into my inventory to eat a lobster, and I was carrying raw lobster, so I couldn't even eat. So I had my first fail on the Gridmaster League, which was very sad. So okay, I went back to the port town, and I grabbed a basic wand and some proper food, and got, you know, went back there a bit more determined and a bit more cautious, and got this done. And that got you the combatant scroll, and then you could link 3 combat skills together. And I went with some melee, some ranged, and magic. I knew that magic could be power leveled with the alchemy, which I needed to do, and that would get magic like really high. And then to bring that up, I could also bring up ranged. That was like two things together, and I just wasn't sure what to do with the melee. I wasn't sure what to do, like strength or hit points or defense. I was going to do defense, and then I went to strength. In hindsight, I kind of wish I'd just gone strength and attack, so that I could just go straight in, or strength and defense, and then level range manually. But you know, you can't change this thing. I don't think. Once you've done it, you've done it. And then the final like scroll you could get was a crafting scroll, and this would let you combine 3 crafting skills. And you had to go and do Temperos, which was a fishing boss. So I googled where to get here, and it was in the desert. And you go here, and this is cool. This is a really, really cool boss. I love that there are skilling bosses in the game. I think that's one of the coolest things, that you could level your skills by doing bosses. It's awesome. See. I'm guessing it was much easier as well on this league, but there's only a couple of us here. You just fish, and then you go load the cannons with fish, and then you go and poke Temperos with your harpoon. Really, really cool. And I got like a bait box for this as well, which is sick. I think a lot of people have this opinion that like these leagues are too fast, and they you know, make you get too used to the speedy XP. But for me, it's kind of the opposite. It's kind of given me more of an appreciation for OSRS and makes me really excited to go and play more and progress my like real character back there to do all this stuff on as well. So yeah, Temporos down, it was the Craftsman Scroll. And I had a plan here that I don't even know if I'll be able to do. I had a plan to make tons and tons of gold with this high alchemy, which I could then use to buy construction materials, to build a house, and then power level 2 other things. That was the plan. I'd seen something on how to do this, and that was the plan I was going for. I'm now recording this and I still don't know how to do it. So if you have any idea how to level construction in this mode, let me know. So I've now got those 3 skills combined. Herb lore, because I don't know how to level that one without, you know, using the Grand Exchange. I've got rune crafting, because I've never done that before and I've no idea how to even start that. And then I've got construction, and all of them are at low levels because I don't know how to level them. So yeah, any advice would be appreciated. And then it was time to make infinite gold, because you can use gold in this league. You can, in this event, you can use gold to directly level your prey. You can use gold on the altar and instantly just power level, like as if you were using dragon bones. And then obviously I was planning to use it for construction, if I can ever work out how to do that. So I started by just going through my bank and using the high alchemy on fish and random things and getting like 300 or 400 gold. And then I was like, okay, I need to find something I can buy and then alchemy it, because it gives you the gold value of the item, but there's also a chance not to use the item. So yeah, I was thinking like if I could buy something for like, you know, 10,000 gold, and then I used this high alchemy and it didn't break the item, I could use it again and I could like make double the gold. That was the plan, to make infinite gold. So I looked around, and apparently in Falador Park, there is a woman that sells bagged plants, and they range from like 1 gold to 100k gold, or like low gold to 100k gold. So I went there and I just stood here and alchemied until I had enough to buy the highest thing they sold. And then I just kept snowballing into the higher and higher value items until I had an inventory full of these high value, like 50k, 100k items, and I could just keep high alchemying them. And that was leveling magic, ranged, and strength, I believe. Yeah, from this point, I felt like I was at the end of my knowledge. I felt like I'd got to the end of anything I could do without looking up guides or without sitting scratching my head for 10 minutes. But I feel like I was really happy to get this far. And I know that with like high magic, I could start doing combat and stuff. So it did feel good. One thing I didn't realize is once you have these in your inventory, it will auto cast over and over. Even when you're walking, when you're fighting, when you're fishing, when you're doing anything, it will keep casting this high alchemy. So you're having a constant level up of your 3 big combat skills just when you're doing everything else in the game. So from that point on, I just made sure I had like 100 of these in my inventory all time, and you were just making gold and leveling your skills, which was really weird, but you know, nice. Okay, then it was time to do some more relics, and I looked around for ones that would be doable, and there was one for growing a fruit tree. So I've done farming on the main game, so I know how to do this, and I thought that'd be easy. I had an apple seed in my bank from ages ago, so I was like, right, I can get this done. I realized I am so reliant on the Grand Exchange. I don't even know how to click 2 buttons without the Grand Exchange. I could not, for the life of me, understand how to plant an apple tree. You know, when you're not on an Iron Man account, you just go to the Grand Exchange, you buy a fruit sapling, you plant it, you buy some compost and you compost it, and you're done. Easy. Whereas on this, I went over there with the seed and I was like, okay, let's plant it. And I had to get a plant pot and get a watering can and then water the plant and then wait a certain amount of time, and you had to get a trowel to put soil in, and then you had to wait for the apple seed to grow into an apple sapling, and then you had to plant it. And yeah, it was, I can't believe how hard an Iron Man account actually is when you don't have, you know, just instant access to all of the base items like that. Does it make me want to play an Iron Man? Not yet. Not yet. But it definitely makes the game more interesting, so I can see how people do it. So I planted the tree, and on this, you know, Gridmaster, it's like 5 or 8 times increased farming speed. So instead of this being like 16 hours to grow, it was like 3 or 4 hours. So that was in the ground, and it was time to pass the time. I tried to do some other things. I did the Vampire Slayer quest, which is really easy. You just go beat the vampire, and that gives you 200% increased global skill gain, which is, you know, puts it up to like 600. I went and did some other stuff like level prayer, you know, get to 40 or 50 to get lots of the basic, you know, protect from attacks, magic, range, that kind of thing all done. So got a lot of like the really obvious things done, a lot of the easy wins done. And then a few hours later, went back, picked the apple tree and got the farming relic. And what this does is I believe it makes farming instant. So now there is a way to mass level farming and mass level herb lore, possibly. I think I haven't really looked into it, but I can probably get that done at some point, you know, get seeds from the stalls and then insta plant them and hopefully get something going that way. But yeah, that was really humbling for sure. Then before I get into like the big, you know, intense combat challenges, there was one last thing I wanted to do. I wanted to get my fishing to level 76 so I could fish a shark, cook a shark, and that would give an item, the corrupted shark relic, which lets you have an infinite shark in your inventory that you could just eat over and over and over. It's an infinite food source basically for just one tile in your inventory. I thought that would be a really good thing to do before I even think about bosses. So I pretty much spent the rest of the day just fishing, doing some other like little chores around for some other skills, but mostly trying to power level the fishing. And as well, that does level like all your other skills. It was cool because you could also still level your alchemy. So you were leveling like magic, you're leveling 3 combat skills and 3 gathering skills just from fishing, which was really, really nice. So I pretty much spent, you know, the rest of the day doing that, got the shark cooked, got this infinite recovering shark food, and I was pretty much in a good place to stop here. But yeah, that was pretty much my experience of like day one. Not much combat, but I got a lot of relics. I got a lot of the green relics done. I know some people literally finish the board in a day, which is madness to me as a new player, as a noob. So yeah, that was my day one. I'd love to know what you think of the Gridmaster. I am loving it. It's so nice to see the game in a different angle and I'm looking forward to seeing some of the end game stuff and trying it before I do it properly on my main account, which is exciting. But yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you want to see more of this, do let me know down below. If people really enjoy this, I'll make a follow up with some more progress. But I'll be playing it anyway. So thank you for watching. Take care, and I'll catch you in the next one.